Stop scrolling, because the next 12 days could define the entire season for Arsenal FC. We're talking about a Champions League knockout battle in Germany, a Premier League title race under serious pressure, and a cup final against Manchester City. But here's the twist. Just hours before the trip to Germany, major injury updates have dropped, and they could completely change Arsenal's chances. Tomorrow night, Arsenal travel to Germany to face Bayer Leverkusen in the round of 16 of the UEFA Champions League. And this isn't just another European game. This is the moment where people start asking the big question: are Arsenal actually ready to win the Champions League? Because if you look at their form in Europe this season, it's honestly frightening. Arsenal finished the brand new Champions League phase with a perfect record. 8 games, 8 wins. No other team managed that level of dominance. And suddenly, teams across Europe have started to realize something. This Arsenal side is not just talented, they're serious contenders. But football fans know one thing about Champions League knockout nights in Germany: anything can happen. The Bay Arena will be loud, the atmosphere will be hostile, and Leverkusen at home can be extremely dangerous, which means Arsenal will need their biggest players to step up. But that's where the injury situation becomes very important. Just a few days ago, Arsenal fans were genuinely worried. During the FA Cup match against Mansfield Town, multiple players were forced off early, and supporters immediately started asking, are we about to lose key players before the biggest week of the season? But today's training session at London Colney delivered some very good news. 3 key players are back in full training. First, William Saliba, and Arsenal fans know just how important he is. When Saliba plays, Arsenal's defense looks calm, organized, and almost impossible to break down. When he's missing, things become much more chaotic. Second, Leandro Trossard, one of Arsenal's most dangerous attacking players this season, the type of player who can suddenly produce a goal or assist when the team needs it most. And the third return is Riccardo Calafiori, who has been a huge defensive option for Arteta this season. So Arsenal are getting stronger again at exactly the right moment. But there's still one massive problem. Arsenal will travel to Germany without their captain, and that captain is Martin Ødegaard. The Norwegian midfielder is still recovering from a knee injury, and right now the expectation is that he might not return until late March or early April. That's a huge blow, because Ødegaard isn't just a midfielder, he's the creative engine of Arsenal's attack, the player who controls tempo, creates chances, and unlocks defenses. Without him, Arsenal lose a lot of creativity in the final third. Defender Ben White is also still unavailable, and midfielder Mikel Merino remains a long-term absentee who could miss the rest of the season. So yes, Arsenal are getting some players back, but they're still missing some very important pieces. And that brings us to the bigger picture, because Arsenal aren't just fighting on one front, they're fighting on 3. While all of this European drama is happening, Arsenal are currently top of the Premier League, 67 points, 7 points ahead of Manchester City. But there's a catch. City still have a game in hand, and everyone knows how dangerous City can be when the season enters the final stretch. But Arsenal's recent results show why they're in control right now. They beat Chelsea 2-1 in a huge London derby. Then they went away and defeated Brighton and Hove Albion 1-0. And most recently, they knocked out Mansfield Town in the FA Cup. It hasn't always been comfortable, but Arsenal keep finding ways to win, and that's exactly what title-winning teams do. But now comes the hardest part of the season, because Arsenal are about to enter one of the most brutal schedules in Europe. First, the Champions League clash with Leverkusen. Then just 3 days later, a Premier League match against Everton. Then the second leg of the Champions League round of 16. And then something massive, a cup final against Manchester City in the EFL Cup on March 22nd. Think about that for a second. Champions League knockout games, a title race, and a cup final against the best team in England, all in the space of about 12 days. This is where seasons are defined. This is where champions are made. Right now, Arsenal are still alive in 3 competitions: the Premier League, the Champions League, and a domestic cup, which means something unbelievable is still technically possible: a treble. It sounds crazy, but the opportunity is there. However, everything could also collapse very quickly if results go the wrong way over the next 2 weeks. That's why tomorrow's game in Germany is so important, because momentum in football is everything. Win that game and belief grows. Lose it and pressure begins to build. So now the question goes to you, Arsenal fans. Do you believe this team can actually go all the way in the Champions League? Or should the focus be on securing the Premier League title first? And one more thing, can Arsenal beat Manchester City in that cup final? Let me know your prediction in the comments.